At 65, you have attained a very remarkable milestone in many areas of life. The grace of God has played a very integral part in all of these achievements. It's time to give some pat on the back for all those who have helped you in different ways along the way for all of these attainments. Let's begin with the home front.
We must give thanks to Almighty for attaining what we can call a very ripe age of 65. In this environment, especially where life expectancy is no more than about 50 from United Nations statistics. It's been a challenging, long, but exciting journey. And I think that one can say that everything that I have been able to touch, I can see the hands of God.
Okay.
Primary school was very exciting. Secondary school was very, very exciting. One can even say those days at the Baptist Boys School in Abeokuta can be described as one's real formative, where you imbibed the culture of having mentors and people that you look forward to. And that has helped tremendously in one have become.
Okay.
Because at those early ages, we were lucky to have eminent personalities in all fields that we look up to.
It's 10 years this year that Otunba engineer Justus Olugbenga ended his momentous tour of duty as the executive governor of Ogun State, becoming the very first chief executive of the Gateway State to serve for 2 consecutive terms of 8 years. In fact, Otunba Olugbenga's 8 years in office as the governor of Ogun State between 2003 to 2011 remained golden and will continue to resonate with the good people of the state because of all the groundbreaking developments which Ogun State experienced during his tenure in office. It's on record that Otunba Olugbenga changed the civil service attitude of people of Ogun State into a business-oriented mentality using his extensive connections and goodwill among top players in the private and public sectors across and beyond Nigeria to influence the movement of commercial outfits like banks, telecommunication companies and other businesses from other parts of the country to Ogun State, where indigents of Ogun State were employed in their thousands. Apart from the massive infrastructural development of Ogun State in terms of roads, the construction of stadia of international standard in the 3 senatorial zones of the state further endeared the Olugbenga administration to the people of the state because of the love of the people, both young and old, for sports. The stadia, constructed by the Olugbenga administration in Shagamu and Ijebu, and the massive refurbishment of the MKO Abiola International Stadium in Abeokuta, the capital of the state, played host to thousands of sportsmen and women from different parts of the country who converged on Ogun State for the 2006 National Sports Festival, which was hosted by the Ogun State government under the dynamic and very focused leader, Otunba Olugbenga. Otunba Olugbenga was able to record great success at the very first attempt at pilots in the affairs of a state like Ogun State, which is politically advanced and complex because he did not just stumble to power. He took his time to properly understand the people and the politics of Ogun State. As for the administration of the state, his private sector experience came in handy here. Indeed, the success of Otunba Olugbenga in the governance of Ogun State from a private sector background encouraged so many professionals in the private sector to go into politics from different parts of the country and the number is steadily on the rise today. From all indications, Otunba Olugbenga Daniel took a calculated risk, and that's paid off in the end. How did Otunba Olugbenga Daniel derive the confidence to leave Crystal Laurel Limited, his multi-billion naira #1 brand, an electrochemical technology company, and forayed into what some people call the murky waters of Nigerian politics for a whole 8 years?
Sometime, a young man came to me and said he had brought in a new elevator called Cone from Finland. I could have been a skeptic, but because of the confidence I had in him, I decided to take a plunge. And I was one of the first to ask him to install it on one of my darling projects, the Atlantic Royal Gardens, just adjacent to the Federal Palace Hotel. Whenever I drive past and I see that, my mind always went to Otunba Olugbenga Daniel. I recall that in 1999, just before the inauguration of the new government, at that time the Crystal Laurel building had just, wasn't even opened at the time. And Otunba Olugbenga Daniel, who of course was a very good friend and remains a very good friend of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, offered the entire building for the transition team, and we used that brand new building for several weeks. And I think that it was not only was it extremely kind of him, but he was always there himself, you know, as a member of the transition team. Nobody knew, certainly I didn't know, that one day he was going to be governor as well. I really want to commend you, my dear friend, for all of what you've been through these very many years. I'm not surprised at all, frankly, that you've not only made a success as governor, but also the focus today on the company, the major or leading company in electromechanical systems in this country. For the next 25 years, I'm sure that you know that the next 25 years, and I pray that you will live all of those 25 years and more. But I pray that you will live all of those 25 years. For the next 25 years, of course, the challenge is that Crystal Laurel must make its own lifts, and we must now have the Crystal Laurel brand.
Today we thank the Almighty God and the management and staff of this company for their consistency, tenacity, and efficiency. As one man, they say, cannot make a forest. Today our company has become the market leaders, arguably, in virtually all the fields that we have touched. We've since acquired the franchise for Helicon Park, shelving systems from America. Shell and other oil companies have been our major customers in this area. AEC of Hitler are our partners in UPS on integrated power systems. Cosgo Mill of Spain work with us on maintenance platforms and cleaning cradles. We are always at home at the highest roofs of the world. With these agencies in our hand, our objective has been to benchmark ourselves not with local companies that has a perception of not doing things well, but with international best prices, we cannot but find mentorship and personalities who have been exceptional with their chosen career path. It is for this reason that we have had mentorship in Otunba, Michael, Olashubomi Balogun.
How would you describe our politics in Nigeria and the practitioners themselves? This question is pertinent because some countries like India and some others we attained independence with at about the same time are by far ahead of us in the area of the development of their countries. Before you moved over to the APC recently, you were a very strong member of the PDP. Is it our politicians or the kind of politics we play in Nigeria that has held down Nigeria's development?
Many years ago, you know that the only thing you know India for was the Indian films you watch. The perception is that it's a poor country, but they have something going for them. They have a huge population, probably the second most populous nation on earth. And this population were largely poor. But they felt that they can make use of that population. So they started developing, their institutions, their medicine, and so on and so forth. But more than anything else, some people have opined that part of our problem is our wealth. Because sometimes if you have wealth and you don't know how to deploy it, you are very poor. So people like India, people like China recognize that they don't have wealth in terms of resources, mineral, natural resources, but they have human capacity, and that's what they developed on. So everything about India, if you go and look, you'll find out that now they are doing a telemedicine, and Nigerian doctors used to be much better than Indian doctors. Now we now have to take our people to India for difficult surgeries and so on and so forth. So they have developed their human capacity, and they are now exporting that capacity to earn foreign exchange. China knew that there were so many. There was a time they did birth control and all of that. But they decided, okay, what could we do with this population? We can turn it into factory of the world and do virtually everything cheaper, which they did. But don't forget, there was something that was running in both countries. The decision to consume only what they produce. People used to wonder when you see the Indian car, in those days, they will not allow you to bring or import cars you cannot produce. So they challenge their engineers. They challenge their entrepreneurs and say, look, we have a huge population here. We need vehicles, but it is only vehicle that you produce that you have a right to ride. I mean, to ride. So they went to work, and the citizens also were disciplined enough to know that they can only enjoy what they produce. And slowly, gradually,
They grew.
One cannot but refer to your 2003 campaign when you were seeking office of the governor of Ogun State, which went through the 236 wards in the 3 senatorial districts of the state. A lot of people still call it a revolution in the method of political campaigning in Ogun State because you made it a personal door-to-door affair, with you at the forefront. You have made remarkable impact in education, and in fact, it was during your time that the Adire fabric was made popular among indigents of Ogun State. Can you tell us more about these initiatives?
Well, the administrations that have come after me, in their own ways, have done a lot of work. I must, give it to them that they have done a lot of work. The current administration, in particular, is doing a lot of work, and I've seen so many things going on simultaneously, virtually everywhere. Road constructions are going on. I've seen yellow roof. Incidentally, the current governor is known with color yellow, and so when you see those yellow roofs, you know that his hand is there in school innovation. So a lot of things are definitely going on, and one is happy about that. And even the predecessor also did a lot of work. As governor of Ogun State, in all my 8 years, I did not touch one dime of local government money. Not only did I not touch, despite the fact that all the 20 local governments were under, my purview, I did not nominate any contractor to any of those local governments in all my 8 years. So, what did that bring? The entire state was unleashed. At the level of a state, you can't reach everywhere. But the local government have bigger capacity to get to the wards and all of that. And that is also going back to the campaign that you spoke to. Because in the course of that campaign, I went through all the wards, I spoke to all the leaders, I had a book, I recorded their, what they said, the biggest problem. Any ward meeting, we say, okay, in this ward, if you want to list by area of priority, list 10 things that you think are most important for you, I didn't decide it for them. So they listed it. And then when I have resources, at first we call the chairman, now these are the checklists of your people, tick, 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 tick. So you can't finish it, but if they list 10 people, 10 things, and you're able to do 6 or 7, the incoming administration does the same, we will not be where we are.
As part of other measures to stem the tide of insecurity in Nigeria, some people are advocating the creation of state police. What do you think about this?
It's just common sense. People who are saying they don't want the decentralization have made their own points. Basically, because of the experience of the past, and people think that the country must be together. If states or regions have their own police, then they can secede, or they can do this, or that they can be used to oppress local opposition and so on and so forth. Okay, that's quite correct. But I do feel that everything in life has its pros and cons. What we need to do as a people at any point in time is to look at the pro and con. And once the pro outweighs the con, we go for the pro. So in my own opinion, from the perspective of what we've even tried over the years, we have found that the central police system that we're running today is not effective, and it has to be decentralized.
Okay.
And we don't need to go too far. The people who colonize us, the UK, the American system, you know how they do their policing system. It's completely decentralized. And there's really no reason why we cannot do the same. So for me, that's very, very easy to take.
Your love for the people of Ogun State resulted in your grand entry into the hospitality sector with the establishment of the conference hotels in Shagamu, Ijebu-Ode, and indeed Abeokuta, Ogun State capital. Apart from providing employment for indigents of Ogun State with such international standard hotels, Ogun State will also proudly join the Committee of States with high-grade hospitality centers that will attract tourists from all parts of Nigeria and beyond, and for generation of the much-needed revenue.
This will contribute to our capacity to host anybody without having worries. The history of hotel development in Ogun State is a very deep history, and I am happy that we have continuously graduated and progressed to a state where all of us can be very proud of these facilities. After this session, there is another one in the night. That one, only certain people are invited, and we are going to pass this invitation. But all I want to say to you is that everybody has a place in this hotel.
I wish to particularly congratulate His Excellency Olugbenga for the successful completion of this mega beautiful facility. As our dear Ogun State continues to rise on the ladder as an industrial economy, and as we continue to expand our economic base, being the overflow and the expansion corridor to the 5th largest economy in Africa, more people will be coming into Ogun State, and it therefore becomes expedient that our guests find more comfortability. That itself justifies the need for a facility like this. On the one hand, this beautiful facility will contribute in no small measure towards providing a conducive and best standards in hospitality for our guests, and even those of us residing in the state and who want a home away from home, whilst at the same time providing job opportunities for our citizenry. In the same vein, as previously mentioned, the strategic location of this center of hospitality at the entry point into Abeokuta, the capital of Abia State, will not only add to the aesthetics of this particular area, but it is a symbolic pointer towards the expected beauty of our state capital and the appeal of our people.
At this official commissioning of the conference hotels a major boost to Abeokuta's skyline and a significant offering to our nation's hospitality industry. Looking at the sheer magnificence of the edifice that we have commissioned today, I must start by felicitating with the board and management of the conference hotels for extending the frontiers of their luxury brand to Abeokuta from Ijebu-Ode and Shagamu. It surely takes a bold vision and tenacity to conceive and execute a project of this magnitude. From the tranquil ambience and the exquisite decor and top-notch services, the hotel can clearly compare with anywhere in the world. And even more exciting is the fact that the group has provided gainful employment for over 1,000 people, directly and indirectly. It is, I think, a very special thing indeed, that the former governor of Ogun State and my dear brother, Otunba, has thought it fit to bring to Abeokuta this particular edifice and this conference hotel. I think it's the way that it should be. 10 years after leaving office, the fact that he's able to come here and do something of this magnitude shows that his heart remains involved in the progress of Ogun State.
What's your message to the youth of Ogun State, especially as regards participation in politics?
Everybody appears to know the problem. Nobody appears to be willing to profile the solution. The problem is very, very simple. The value system have completely collapsed, and a number of people who didn't go to school or who didn't have enough education have found foul means of making it, and that is what the other people are looking at to say, if these people can make it this way, why should I bother myself? So part of what we need to reverse in our policy first is to ensure that we encourage good and we punish bad. Currently that is not happening, and I must say that most of the challenges we have as a people today is really circled around that. Why have our younger people become disinterested in politics? It's very, very simple. First and foremost, the political process have not evolved, I would say, positively the way it should have evolved. It does appear that everything now is about money because of the level of poverty in the environment. We don't have to be poor. Nigeria as a country have no reason to be poor.
Your recent decampment from the PDP to the ruling party, the APC, has generated a lot of speculations and conjectures among your followers and admirers about your next political move. Would you like to share that with us?
Let me seize the opportunity to explain that, as I've explained to you, when you look at my political makeup, I'm a little bit to the left. And that's where I'm coming from. My first incursion into politics indirectly, most people may not know, was even the UPN. And you must have heard stories that even as a student, I was the youngest member of Chief Awolowo's Committee of Friends at that time. And I know that at the University of Lagos, when the ban on political activities was lifted in 1978 by the outgoing head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo, I, as president of the Unity Party of Nigerian Student Wing, with a number of other competitors, including the same Tunde Bakare, who was my secretary. Tunde was my vice, Ifedele was the secretary, we were the one who first brought Chief Awolowo to the Faculty of Engineering, Faculty of Education Lecture Theatre, and that was his first political outing. You shouldn't be surprised that when this new republic started, 1998, 1999, I was more of an AD person and a Fnse person. And that is where I am coming from. And it is that AD that, went into ACN and went finally into APC. So you can call that party, to some extent, a progressive party, using the word progressive. And that's where my roots are. I've done my bit in PDP. I've used that vehicle to do what I had to do. I have no regret, because we opened the state and everybody agrees to a large extent that we laid good foundations that we can be proud of. Okay? Now, going forward, I then feel that probably it's a lot better for me as I get close to retirement, to go to what we call my natural habitat. And that is precisely what I have done. If something comes, yes, as long as God give me good health, and I still have the energy and the desire to help my people, yes, I will take it. But I have not gone there because I have something in mind and I'm going to be running helter-skelter. No, that's not.